Redneck.
Welcome back, sixth and final segment here at 11:31 Central Time. Got the University of Kentucky Wildcats on behind us. I doubt, you can see a little bit of it in the corner. They're down by 9 right now, but we've got plenty of sports left to cover. We've already been all over the college basketball world.
How about we go to a little outdoor talk? Outdoor talk was fueled by Corey's Coon and Coyote calls. If you're looking to score a trophy coon or coyote, then Corey's Coon and Coyote calls has just a call for you. I never go coon or coyote hunting without my Corey's Coon and Coyote calls.
Yeah, this morning, Justin Bruce, who called in last week, he's also got a picture of a deer and a fish on our Outdoor World page there.
Not near as big as my fish.
And I went and dipped some minnows, seined the creek for minnows, and neither one of us had done it before. I'd seen it done, and he'd seen it done, and we watched some YouTube videos on it. But
that's the best education. YouTube and Google, man.
Yeah.
What would we do now? I mean, our kids, when they grow up, YouTube and Google's all they ever going to know.
Listen, I remember when I was little, my mom and dad went and bought a set of encyclopedias. I mean, paid a lot of money for it.
Yeah.
I mean, and I did get some use out of them before the internet got big, but now, I mean, I doubt they even sell encyclopedias anymore.
No, I mean, you can probably get them on a CD.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. But anyway, so we went out there. It's about 37 degrees this morning. Water temperature's pretty chilly. We don't know what we're doing, but we managed to dip some minnows. We're trying to get fantail minnows. We got some unnamed, chunky
minnows.
Chubs. I think some people call them chubs. I don't know. They were purple and silver. If someone wants to help me identify these, they weren't like shiners. They weren't like shad. I don't really know what they were, but hopefully they're going to catch some fish for us tomorrow. We're going to take them to Green River Lake, try and catch some smallmouth bass with them.
Oddly enough, I never got an invite to that.
Guy never got any what?
An invite.
Well, there's only so many seats on the boat.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean,
Anyways.
you never asked. You don't even have your fishing license.
I mean, you could only get it a week ago.
You could have bought it. I've actually got mine printed off the internet this morning.
Who do you have yours thanks to?
I mean, I could have printed it at work.
But did you?
No, I got it right here.
Yeah.
If you don't have your fishing license, even if you don't like to fish, if you do enjoy spending time in the outdoors and you enjoy the state of Kentucky having great wildlife, you ought to go think about buying a hunting and fishing license. That's where 100% of the money that funds Kentucky's outdoor programs, whether it's the Solaris Center or whether it's Kentucky Field, if you like to watch that on TV, or any of the programs that come around to schools and show off hawks.
100%?
100% funded by license and
no
tag
donations?
Sales. No.
I have a hard time
the
believing that.
KFDW, Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife, is 100% funded.
Nobody donates money to the Kentucky Fish and Wildlife Department?
Now, people may donate money to the specific areas, whether it's like the Condor Rescue that deals with the hawks, bringing them in, or the Solaris Center. I can't say.
I'm writing a check tomorrow, $2, Kentucky Fish and Wildlife Department, donating.
Well, I mean, I donate them $20. I donate them $20 every year to get in the elk draw.
Aside from that,
no,
I'm just donating them
$20 every year to get in the elk draw, and that's pure donation because they have yet to draw my name. I've been doing it for 7 or 8 years, so that's $140 that they've got off me.
So where did we dip minnows this morning?
I don't know.
Unnamed location.
It was a creek. I don't want to give away Timmy Coffee's secret minnow dipping spot, but it was a creek.
A creek that I understand is usually almost dry, that today was up to about the shoulders.
Well, he told me I could drive down it till I got to this deep pool, and there was no driving. At one point, though, the pool that was supposed to be about knee-high was up about my pectoral muscles. Pretty high and a little
nice
chilly.
Pecs.
The hands got cold, but...
You know who has nice pecs?
Who's that?
Bryce Harper and Brett Favre.
Yeah.
Gosh, I need to eat more Girl Scout cookies.
I mean, if Girl Scout cookies did that for you, I'd be ripped right now. I mean, I'd be... I'd be a pretty good-looking fella. But that's what happened.
How many minnows did we end up with?
I'm going to guess about 50 good, nice, 4-inch minnows and maybe a bunch of little crappie minnows.
4-inch minnows, pretty good minnow.
Yeah. Nice big minnows. Maybe we'll catch some fish.
We need to get some pictures. Do we have pictures of the minnows? Can we put some minnow pictures up on the website?
Of the actual minnows that we caught?
Yeah.
No,
Man,
I didn't take no pictures.
Y'all should have took some action pictures.
My phone doesn't take pictures.
Should have got some action pictures out there.
Well, you should have came and photographed it.
Bruce, he takes pictures all the time. He's got them up on the website.
I took those pictures.
With
he was
what?
just in them. His phone. It takes pictures.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Take our phones down this creek.
You could have put them in your waders.
No, last time I took my phone in a creek in a watertight bag. I took my phone. Well, I went kayak fishing in a creek, and I took my phone in a watertight bag, and I lost it. iPhone 5 had it about a month, and I guarantee you that some Cuban lady has pulled this out of the Gulf of Mexico or the Atlantic Ocean, wherever Cuba is exactly, and is using it to call up their grandson in America because that sucker was working perfectly. It was just down in the water somewhere, and it's been swept out to sea. So that's why we didn't take our phones.
I remember searching for that phone.
Yep, it happens.
To no prevail. All right, but moving from the outdoors to the kitchen, as we usually do, 2 minutes with Paula Dan. Paula Dan is brought to you by Bubba's Kitchen. Bubba's Kitchen is the only place serving you better food than Dan's recipes. Stop by today and try out Bubba's Frog Leg Cheese Dip. Guaranteed to be the best frog leg cheese dip you've ever had. What do you have for us today, Dan?
Today I've got something that you definitely won't find at Bubba's Kitchen. It's not a Daniel Bragg exclusive, but it's something that I tried somewhere and decided I'd try and figure out how to make it home. I call it cinnamon roll pancakes. The pancake part itself is simple. Buy a box of pancake mix, follow the directions as you normally would. Well, what makes it special is the cinnamon filling and the cream cheese glaze. To make the cinnamon filling, you need to take 4 tablespoons or half a stick of butter and melt it. I stick it in the microwave. Then you put 1/4 a cup of brown sugar and half a tablespoon of cinnamon. That's all there is to it. Mix all that up together, and it'll be a little thick. The more you mix it, the thicker it's going to get. What you're going to do is take your pancakes, and while they're cooking, you'll drizzle a little of that on it and make a small pancake. And then when it comes out, you put that down in between 2 pancakes, and then put a little on top. Just enough to get a nice cinnamon flavor. The cream cheese glaze, you take the exact same amount of butter, half a stick, with 2 ounces of cream cheese and 3/4 cup of powdered sugar and half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. You don't want to go overboard on the vanilla because then it just tastes weird. But you mix that all together, 3/4 cup sugar, 2 ounces cream cheese, half a stick of butter, and half a teaspoon of vanilla. And that'll make your drizzle, and you just drizzle that on as much as you want. I like a lot of it. And then you can still add a little maple syrup if you want to. And there you got it. Daniel's Paula Dan special cinnamon roll pancakes.
I have an idea.
What's the idea?
Whatever your Paula Dan is next week,
hot dogs.
You bring a sample
with
of
mustard.
Well, you got to have some sort of specialty going on with hot dogs if you're going to bring hot dogs. Like
I
insert
do make
some cheese into them or something?
I do make a special hot dog. I don't know how I can make it in Leftwich Hall, but I do have a special.
You can make it beforehand and bring it.
I do have a special mushroom, onion, and pepper Swiss cheese.
Hey,
Philly dog.
I mean, that sounds good for lunch while we're doing the show.
Yeah, I'll think about it.
That's what we need to do. All right, I know you want to get to a little Mark Cuban talk, but before we go there, we talked about Frank Martin getting suspended. Kind of a bad week for SEC coaches. We saw Cal get thrown out this past week. Do you think it was like a Hoosiers moment when he was just
intentional? Yeah,
he said
it before the game.
He's like, "Throw me out, just throw me out."
I don't know what he said to the guy, but he did kind of make the point that at halftime he said, "I'm going to get thrown out before the game's over," and it did work. I mean, they ended up losing, but they played a lot better during that 8 minutes after he got thrown out. But yeah, it was exactly a Hoosiers moment.
The assistant coach that took over for him, could be mistaken for Gruden.
Yeah, he does look a little like Gruden.
Yeah, he's got John Gruden. What's new coach at Washington?
Pete Carroll?
No, John Gruden's brother. What's his name?
Jay Gruden?
Jay. He could be a John J. Gruden brother, for all I know.
A little bit. But no, he's not.
Yeah, right.
But, even during that game, Coach O, Orlando Antigua, was getting up and yelling at referees, and he typically doesn't say anything. Normally when Cal is screaming his head off, O's got his arms around him.
Did you think it was that bad of an officiating
no,
game?
I didn't think the officiating was that bad. I think they were just frustrated in general, more frustrated with the players. But unlike what Martin did, they didn't take it out on their players. They took their frustrations out on the referees, which I think was the right thing to do.
Do you think this isn't somehow negative? But do you think Cal is realizing that this whole recruiting the one and dones, getting them in and trying to win championships is harder than he thought it was going to be when he was at Memphis and then at UK early?
I think he realized it in his first year at UK because his tone changed. His tone changed to I wish that we could keep him 2 or 3 years,
right.
But I'm going to do the best I can with this.
Right. I think him and UK fans thought we're gonna have the best top 5 players every year, and we're just gonna win every year.
And it was like that up until last year.
Right. I mean, experience helps a little bit too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That being said, pretty good segue into what I like to talk about here. If you're ready to go on
yes.
and get to it, Mark Cuban came out this past week and said that what spurred this is that the Players Association and the NBA is thinking about moving to a 2 years instead of 1 year before,
right.
Or making the age limit higher to 20 or 21 before you can get into the NBA. And Mark Cuban said that players should have the option to go straight to the D League out of high school.
Yeah, I want to hear your thoughts on this.
Okay. What I'm going to give a little explanation. Don't know about it. They think you should go straight out of high school and you go kind of like try out or sign up for a team. You're not drafted into the D League. You just kind of go try out for a team, get on a team. And then after 2 years in the D League or 3 years in college, whichever one you want to do, you can go for it. You can try and get drafted. I think it's a decent idea. I think it should be like Major League Baseball is in that if you're going to go to college, you need to stay 3 years. That's long enough to get a degree. That's long enough to do your deal. But if you think, you know what, I don't want to go to college, it doesn't mean anything to me. It's going to be more trouble than it's worth. I want to make a little money. I want to perfect my game. I want to learn what it's like to travel around the country with a team. I want to get my feet wet in the game. Then you should have that option. And going to the D League, making a little money for those players who are not interested in education, who are not interested in doing anything but playing ball, I think that could be good for them. A lot of the problems we see with these overhyped young players that come out after their freshman year is they're ready physically to play the game. They're not ready mentally and emotionally to deal with the stresses that come with playing that game. They deal with the stresses of going to towns that hate you every night, flying across the country 50 times a year. Think about DeMarcus Cousins, who was a dominant force in college basketball and is becoming a good player in the NBA now. But for his first couple of years, he was in a fight every night. He was getting thrown out of games. He was in trouble, and he couldn't get his head straight. And altogether, he's a decent kid. He just wasn't ready for the rigors of traveling around the country. And I think going to the D League for a couple of years, like Mark Cuban is saying, for those players who have no interest in getting an education, who are only going to cause trouble at school, who are going to maybe get suspended for different things, because they just don't want to be there, or who are going to have bad years that end up hurting their draft stock, maybe like a Jadeveon Clowney did in football because he just didn't want to be there, but he couldn't leave. I think that the D League is a viable option for them in that they go in and they still have the option of being drafted after they've proven themselves for 2 years. What do you think about it? Do you agree with it, disagree with it?
I disagree with the one part. You mentioned that you would have to be in the D League 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
I think it should be exactly like baseball in that if you want to go to the minors, you can go to the draft right out of high school. But if you do go, just like if you go to play college basketball, just like if you go to play college baseball, you got to be there 3 years. But there's nothing stopping you going from the draft and then going to the D League.
Yeah. Because
you can have, you'll have Bryce Harper's and Strasburg's. You'll have a LeBron
but
once every
Bryce
5
Harper's
years.
And Strasburg's they played in the minors. They didn't go straight to the majors.
Well, Strasburg went to college. Yeah, he played 1 year.
He played.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if it was the whole year, but he played at least part of a year in the minors.
I was thinking
Bryce Harper
Mike Leake did not play in the minors.
No, he did not at all. But he went to college.
Right.
And came straight out of college and played.
But if there's a LeBron, 1 in every 5 years, you'll have a player that's ready.
Right.
And if that player, if you want to send that player to the pros, that's fine when you draft him. But, make the D League more like minor league baseball.
Right.
Not saying that somebody has
right
to be
now
there
the D League is for those players who are never going to make it.
Right.
They're not going to
That's exactly what it is.
It's kind of like European
football. They won't even rehab players in the D League.
Right. And what I think the problem with that is going to be is that it's going it's going to kind of force kids back into going to college because a lot. I don't know. It might be 1 year that they start. The first year they do it, people might draft high school kids, but they're not going to take a chance on those 18-year-old kids. I mean, until you get a LeBron.
Right.
You know, every now and then you'll get LeBron, but like Jabari Parker, they wouldn't have taken a big money chance on him. They would have.
But with this, you won't have to pay him big money. I mean, make it exactly what baseball is.
Right, but
you don't see anybody getting that money in baseball.
But the way they wanted to do it was that you could go, just like you can go try out for any team in baseball if you want to.
Right.
And then you draft from the D-League or from unsigned D-League players and from
See, I don't like it because
players.
You're still keeping the D-League separate. Right. I don't think it should be separate. It's not separate in baseball. If you want to rehab a guy or if you want to call a guy up for a week or whatever, it's part of Major League Baseball.
Right.
And I think if you have something like that, that is what you should want it to be. I mean, that's the only way it's ever going to make money.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how it even exists.
The contracts aren't guaranteed in basketball. So I don't know if players are going to get sent to the D-League. I think they'd rather just go try and find a team where they can sit on the bench.
I mean, and this brings up the point, are you going to go play for some D-League team or are you going to go play for Duke or Kentucky?
Exactly. And
right.
That's the thing.
I mean,
in that there's a lot more prestige in college basketball than there is college basketball
right.
than there is in college baseball.
That said, though, I mean the way should still be there for somebody like LeBron. That happens once, maybe every 5 years.
Yeah, and
you got LeBron, Dwight Howard. I mean, about once every 5 years you have one.
Yeah, and I agree. You know, Kobe Bryant came straight out of high school, but
not Kevin Durant, but Kevin Garnett.
Yeah.
So have the avenue there, and the market will dictate whether somebody wants to draft them or not.
But the thing is, though, if you go and you're not ready, you're out of luck. You can't go back and play college basketball.
No, but I mean, you can still improve in the D-League, and if you're making it like minor league baseball, where you're taking players from there,
from the D-League it up,
yeah, instead of just taking from college. You want to make it part of your...
I don't even know how the ownership cycle works in the D-League. I assume, are they owned or are they just affiliated?
I'm not real sure if affiliation
switches
like baseball or not.
I can't even name a D-League team off the top of my head.
No. Never. I don't know that I've ever heard the name.
I've watched a D-League game one time. I watched DeMarcus Cousins when he was in the D-League for a little while during a summer game. But
it seems like if you were the NBA, this is what you would want.
Yeah.
I mean, you would want a better product.
A D-League that prepares your players, that you can work your players in.
And you can maybe make... I just can't imagine that they make money. Seems like the NBA would have to fund them to keep them above water.
Yeah.
I mean, do you see
they
people...
fund the WNBA and keep them above water.
I mean, would you rather go watch a college basketball game or a D-League basketball game?
Well, at least in college basketball games, your odds of seeing someone who's going to be an NBA star is probably a lot better than going to watch a D-League game because they're never going to make it up.
There's no real pro to go and watching a D-League basketball game right now.
You just can't afford to go to a regular basketball game. And you can't get tickets to a UK game.
Yeah, I mean, it might be the case. I just think if you're the NBA and you're Adam Silver, I believe
Silva, yeah.
Adam Silva.
I think so.
Silva. Okay. All right. Well, if you're him, this is what you want. You say you can come out just like baseball.
Yep.
And the market will dictate whether you're taking the risk. And you're not getting huge money. You're taking the risk. You might be LeBron, but in all reality, you're probably going to be somebody that's going to the minors for a year or 2 or 3. And if you want to go to college basketball, that's fine, but you're going to stay there 3 years, and then you will be eligible. You agree?
When do they do the draft? What day is the NBA draft?
I do not know. Why do you ask? What's the reason?
I'm trying to see how that's going to correlate with when kids are getting out of school and where they're getting their offers. I think they should be allowed to test the waters of the draft before they make a... You know what I mean? They should be able to
I believe you can in baseball.
Yeah.
You can be drafted and then go play college baseball. I mean, as long as you don't take the money.
Right. I think you should be able to do something like that in basketball. You can test the water, see if that's going to be a financial... It's going to work for you.
Baseball works. Just take baseball and copy and paste.
Mm-hmm. Of course, there's a lot more baseball players.
Agreed.
I think it would work more in basketball than it'll ever work in football, but yes.
Absolutely. Yes. Well, because, I mean, you have so many players in football that, I mean, you need need decent players on your practice team and whatever else.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a need to have them in the NFL.
Right.
I mean, there's not a need to have 20 guys on the bench in an NBA game. Right. I know. I was just being theoretical.
Right.
Because, I mean, NFL teams, what do you feel? They probably have over 100 people on their team when you consider practice
squad and stuff.
Yeah.
Probably 54 people for a regular team.
So you're probably figuring at about 100 people.
Yeah.
I mean,
at least 80 or 90, but yes.
That's a lot. I mean, you're talking about 8. Well, you're talking about 7 NBA teams on one
6
NFL
at least.
team.
6 to 7, yeah.
So I think if you're Adam Silva,
we're gonna look it up.
Whatever his name is, if you're the NBA, you just want to copy what baseball is doing and paste it. I mean, it's shown that it works.
It is Silver. You were right. I'm sorry.
So it's
sorry.
not Adam Silva. It's Adam Silver.
I guess I just say it wrong. Silva.
Well,
Silva.
You got that Silva action.
Silver. Adam Silver. I apologize, Mr. Silver. I know you're listening to us this morning.
By the way, did you see Adam Silver at the tribute, I guess you would call it, that they did for Iverson when he got his jersey retired at Philadelphia?
I did not.
He basically came out and was talking about how good Iverson was for the league and how he's one of the best of all time. And I was just kind of, really?
Is he from Philadelphia?
I don't know, but, I mean, even though he probably could play the Philadelphia 76ers right now by himself and win.
Yeah.
I mean, he probably averages as many points by himself as they do as a starting 5, but I just thought it was odd that he went with. Do you really need the commissioner there when a jersey's retired?
I mean, maybe he didn't have anything better to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I doubt he's at every single jersey.
I just feel like if you're a new commissioner, that's not what you want to do. I mean, you want to come out and you kind of want to be stern, if you will, and just not be buddies.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know.
You see what I'm saying?
Have a problem with it. Yeah, I see what you're saying, but I think that David Stern was so far the other way that Silver's coming in and trying to get in the middle somewhere.
Maybe.
We'll see.
I mean,
and it's a former player. He's not playing with a player now.
Yes, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I didn't think Iverson was that good.
But what should he say if he is there? He's not going to say, "Iverson, you were a punk. Why are we retiring your jersey?"
No, just kind of be there. Have somebody else give the speech, and you clap and you hand him the reward, and you go on.
Maybe they know each other. Maybe they go to church together.
Maybe. I just thought it was below the commissioner's office to be doing that.
Yeah,
that's just me. But what do I know? I'm not. I am the commissioner of a really well run fantasy baseball league.
Very smoothly operated.
What I'd imagine that it's one of the best in the country.
Well, we don't have that many members, but
the members we do have are very active.
Yeah. It's probably
good
one of the
competition.
Most well-oiled machines.
You don't see any tanking to try to get draft picks like you do in the NBA.
Do people tank in fantasy sports to get draft picks?
Possibly.
I doubt it.
If you don't have keepers.
It'd be a lot easier. I mean, you could just set everyone. You would just physically not play anyone.
You couldn't do that. Everybody know. I mean, you if you're gonna do it, you gotta do it right. Maybe pick up some people that are just not quite as good. Yeah.
Say that you're trying to get your young guys some experience.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't know if that works in fantasy sports, but yes.
Anyways, next week we'll have a fantasy baseball draft before we come back on there, won't we?
We will.
Well, we might have to. We'll talk a little fantasy baseball maybe next week.
Yeah, if you haven't had your draft yet, maybe you can pick up some of our strategy from. We're doing something. We've always had keepers, and we're not going to have any keepers this year. We're going to have to draft whole new teams.
And this man right here, number 1 pick in the draft.
Yeah, not me.
Well,
I have the 6th.
And it's not rigged or anything. I said I was commissioner, and then I'm saying I got the number 1 pick in the draft.
We drew names because we started over. We drew names,
right?
Yeah. And I have a feeling I'm not going to get to keep Fernandez.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you want to pick him number 1.
I might pick him number 2.
I'd say if you want him number 2, he's yours.
I don't know. That was one of the players I was really looking forward to watching this year. And and seeing how they performed. But we'll see what happens. Like I said,
we'll
we
have
got
to,
a big week next
right.
week. We're going to be drafting some fantasy baseball. And
Reminder,
then we're gonna have,
we'll be at Leftwich Hall, the small business fair, from
Chopapalooza.
10 to whenever.
Come out and get your Scentsy candles.
Dan's gonna
Mary
have
Kay products.
Dan's gonna have some hot dogs.
Special hot dogs.
They will not be $8 a piece. I promise.
They'd be free probably if you really want one. If you'll sit down and talk to us.
But we'll be there next week. We're definitely gonna bring back our 5 random questions.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I like the 5 questions.
I felt like that was some good radio. Dan's got a new name for it, so we might come back with a new name, maybe a new sponsor.
You never know.
We'll see what happens over the week.
Maybe a new sound bite.
But we will be back next week. Same Bat Cave, same Bat Channel.
That's not at all how it went, but we will be back.
We will actually
live.
different be in a bat cave.
Different cave, but it did say same bat time, same bat channel. And we will be on the same time. We'll be at the same website. So, y'all have a good second week of March. We'll see you next week.